How's it going, everybody? C-RadTV back here in our video. So, of course, it's time for another Detroit Lions 2023 NFL Draft Preview. So, in the last draft preview, we wrapped up the offensive side of the draft previews by taking a look at the top offensive lineman prospects in day 3 of the 2023 NFL Draft. In this video, we're going to take a look at the top defensive lineman prospects for rounds 4 through 7 of the 2023 NFL Draft to see what players the Lions should potentially take a look at in rounds 4 through 7 of the draft from the defensive end and defensive tackle positions. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's just jump right into it and take a look. So yeah, let's go. Starting off with defensive ends. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Ole Miss, standing 6'7", weighing 265 pounds. We got Tavius Robinson. So for Tavius' strength, strong tackler, huge reach, can snag runners, beautiful frame for a big end, room to grow, ability to drive his legs, generate power through blocks, stand out, energetic player, will run hard in pursuit, work his way back into games, good initial burst for his size. He had flashes that are equivalent of a top 50 player. Gang tackler, will always try to finish rather than let his teammates clean up. Nearly impossible escape from once he lands up a task. A tackler. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his hands land wide, lacks ideal power to disrupt blocks, pops straight up out of his stance, will lose the leverage battle against almost immediately, will be relying on length and strength to get wins as a pass rusher, balance issues gets him washed down in the run game, takes poor angles in the run game, struggles to play up to his size as an edge setter, battering ram approach, gonna hit a hard wall against pros, lateral movements awkward and stiff. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Will Clark of the Arlington Renegades of the XFL. Overall, there are a lot of things to like out of his game, especially out of his frame. You know, maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Auburn, standing 6'5", weighing 284 pounds. We got Colby Wooden. So for Kobe's strengths, impressive bulk, size, and length, can work on the interior and as a traditional defensive end. Builds up speed while in pursuit, lateral quickness, quick enough to run stunts, can create pressure through defensive creativity. Strong edge setter, sturdy anchor, allows him to reshape the line of scrimmage. Has the upper body strength to finish almost every time as a tackler. In terms of weaknesses, though, heavy feet, which leads to issues with creating penetration, finding ways to win as a pass rusher. Power-only rusher, comes off the edge. Not sure what to do with his hands when his initial move gets shut down. Isn't natural with his counters. Tends to play high. Can lose the leverage battle too often. Slow hands can lead to being late with detaching for blocks. He motor trends to wear down. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Deshaun Hand of the Tennessee Titans. Overall, though, a lot of things to like out of his game. Pretty good size, too, and very strong. You know, someone definitely keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Auburn. Standing 6'3", weighing 260 pounds, we got Iku Leota. So for Iku's strengths, abnormally long for his height, which bodes well for his ability to set the edge. Good blend of strength and quickness, can keep offensive tackles from sitting down on any element of his game. Plays with good leverage, balance when anchor, and redirecting the run. Capable of playing as a stand-up rusher with his hand in the dirt. Power and play strength, gonna translate to immediately. High volume player, doesn't slow over the course of a game. He's also been listed as one of the top sleeper picks of this draft because even though injuries kept Iku off the map, he has a near complete game with an NFL body. Whether it's against the run or pass, coaches can always trust him to get the job done. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his tightness in hips and legs could make it hard to dip under blocks. His height could raise some red flags, depending on what kind of style you like. Average athletic QBs will shake him in the backfield. Average speed keeps him out of coverage most of the time. Agility limitation could create some problems against twitchy opponents. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Sam Hubbard of the Cincinnati Bengals. Overall, there's a lot of things to like out of Iku's game. You know, does a lot of things right. Coaches can trust him. You know, maybe someone the Lions will keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of LSU, standing 6'6", weighing 255 pounds, we got Ali Gay. So for Ali's strength, length and strength allows him to set the edge against tackles. Proportionally built, excellent measurements, has natural pop in his hands, can use it to displace blockers on initial contact. Comfortable running stunts, being used in a variety of ways. Energy stays hot through the whistle, will run his way into tackles. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he rises too much out of his stance, tends to give up leverage. Rush package is underdeveloped. Lacks the necessary hand usage counters to defeat what blocks will give him. Average get-off will make him relying on power and technique to create disruption as a pass rusher. Struggles to gear down, can change direction in the open fields. Terms NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Deshaun Hall with a free agent defensive end. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Very strong, has good everything, has a lot of good things. Someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Iowa State, standing 6'3", weight 275 pounds. We got MJ Anderson. So for MJ's strengths, long, put together like a pro from a physical standpoint, powerful stab move, unleashes a lot of power when it lands, drives back blockers on a regular basis, has the ideal shock when he makes landfall, nibble out of his stance for a 275-pounder. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he was a one-year starter without much experience, unsure what to do with his hands if his first move falls short. Angles are unreliable, easily disturbed as a run defender. Doesn't present much as a pass rusher outside of power. Spends a lot of time on the ground as a result of slipping on turns. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's maybe compared to L.J. Collier, the Seattle Seahawks. Overall, there are a lot of things to like out of his game for sure. Does a lot of things right. Definitely someone to keep an eye on here for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Louisville, standing 6'3", weight 267 pounds. We got Yaya Diaby. So for Yaya's strengths, first step quickness allows him to get through gaps, generate pressure with immediacy. Length adequate will allow him to use long arm move efficiency. Straight long speed also benefits him in pursuit. In terms of weaknesses, he's more legs than torso. Long legs make it hard to get low, can dip under blocks. Hand usage isn't imposing or creative, especially for a super senior. Somewhat stiff movement style, which will cause awkward and out-of-sync adjustments and counters. Athleticism won't be sufficient to drop into meaningful coverage roles. In terms of his NFL comparisons, he's been compared to free agent defensive end Jalen Jerks. But overall, a lot of things to like on him. Very quick out of his stance. Does a lot of things right. Someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Clemson, standing 6'5", weighing 250 pounds. We got KJ Henry. So for KJ's strengths, has the speed and effort needed to chase down plays from behind. Rangy enough to drop into coverage on occasion. Hand usage gradually improved throughout his senior year. In terms of weaknesses, though, slow tempo rusher, doesn't bring a lot of juice with his hands or feet. Lacks creativity with his approach. His burst isn't going to translate well at the next level. Late to react to runs. Sees through blocks, can shit on time. Has some tweener qualities to his game. Maybe viewed as an outside linebacker by some teams. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Tyreek Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. Overall, though, there are a lot of things to like out of his scheme. He has the speed and effort to do a lot of things. Definitely maybe someone the Lions will keep an eye on. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Rice, standing 6'4", weighing 267 pounds. We got Ikenna Enchiwuki Chukwu. That last name is a fucking tongue twister. But anyway, for Ikenna's strengths, well-rounded physical profile, looks the part for what teams will want the position. Power generation, has some intriguing flashes where he can get under his path and drive. Urgency and strength, with his hands, it will shock smaller linemen. In terms of his weaknesses, though, slower twitch pass rusher without the juice to thread around the arc. Clunky when he tries to run stunts and slip around blocks. High center of gravity, lack of leverage, makes it easier to lock up. Defensive end only, despite playing some as a stand-up rusher. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to free agent defensive end Brian Cox Jr. So overall, a lot of things to like out of Kenna's strengths. Does a lot of things right. Maybe one of those small school studs the Lions keeping a look at. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Florida, standing 6'3", weighing 252 pounds. We got Brenton Cox Jr. So for Brenton's strengths, fires out of his stance with good acceleration, converts speed to power effectively, has knockback power in his hands despite being on a smaller side for a defensive end. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he has dismissals for both the Georgia and Florida teams that likely sink him for consideration on many teams' boards. Hog cold player, can't generate power on a consistent basis. Average agility, lower body flexibility can hurt him when he tries to finish through difficult angles. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to free agent defensive end Eli Harold. Overall, there are a lot of things to like out of his game, but he's got to be a lot more consistent, though. Maybe the Lions take a chance on him as a rotational piece. And the final defensive end we're going to look at this video before we move on to defensive tackles. We got hailed out of Nebraska, standing 6'5", weighing 260 pounds. We got Ochan Manthis. So for Ochan's strengths, laterally quick enough, can create pressure when running stunts or trying to slip through gaps. Long arms are game-changing when his initial contact and trying to keep linemen off his chest. Built like a pro physically. In terms of his weaknesses, though, high cut build, which leads to getting tangled up when he makes quick adjustments. Weak tackler who lobs his arms around, falls for the target constantly. Play strength doesn't match his frame. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to free agent defensive end Greg Roberts. Overall, there's a lot of things to like at Ocon's game, but he's got to do a lot of things better, though. Maybe someone I could develop in a couple years down the line. Maybe. Now moving on to defensive tackles. The first one we're going to go over here. Hailing out of Oklahoma, standing 6'3", weighing 290 pounds. We got Jalen Redmond. So for Jalen's strengths, explosive off the line of scrimmage, has impressive outer movement that allows him to work behind around the play in order to find his way to the backfield. When engaged, has the quality leverage to take his blocker off the edge, gives him a chance to break free and get to the football. Run game, impressive base strength, feet stay planted the ground well. Even when knocked, he is able to recover and get balance. Reset ability, position himself to make stops is very impressive. Osman listed as one of the top sleeper picks this draft because he comes in at 293 pounds, which could worry some teams, but he's incredibly nimble, explosive with pass rushing tools to be a future impact player. Turns his weaknesses, though. Quickness and decent push you'd want, but overall ability to shed blocks needs work. It needs work on hand usage as a rusher to improve in terms of having a second plan of attack. Initial punch doesn't do much as he often looks more to stay low and get into blocking engagement. His usage as Oklahoma was strange with a large portion at nose tackle. Scheme made it more justified, but he's more of a tweener, not getting college snaps at the position he should regularly play in the NFL. At 24, it's a bit concerning for his likely need in development. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Sheldon Day of the Minnesota Vikings. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. A few things to work on, but yeah, maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure and to develop for the long run. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Mississippi State, standing 6'4", weighing 315 pounds. We got Cameron Young. So for Cameron's strengths, rare physique, finds for arms, checks every size block, nifty agility, long arm move, generates adequate power, plays with low pads for his size, unutilized primarily as a nose tackle as a senior, has the tools to move around, light on his feet, effective block shedder, makes the most of his reach advantage, gets his hands up to interfere with passing lanes, capable double team eater, offensive reround ability, hands stay busy as a pass rusher, high level of competition makes teams feel comfortable with projecting forward, works hard in pursuit. In terms of his weaknesses, though, abysmal pass rushing production. It's going to be a red flag. Tends to get bogged down late in reps when his initial move fails. Not polished and coordinated with his pass rush plan yet. Average first step, limited attack angles, and penetration in the passing game. He may see reduced passing down snaps until he develops from a technical standpoint. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Raekwon Davis of the Miami Dolphins. Overall, there are some things to like out of his game, but he's got to do a lot better and improve a lot, though. Maybe someone to be a rotational piece. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Alabama, standing 6'3", weighing 299 pounds. We got Byron Young. So for Byron, he's your prototype tackling defensive tackle, so he's very good at tackling the ball carrier. Terms his strengths near 34-inch arms, force multiplier as a pass rusher, gets good extension with them. Versatile enough to play either defensive end or defensive tackle. Strong enough to fight through double teams if he has the time to operate. Dirty work lineman, makes his living as a reliable run defender. Stack and shed ability, has excellent flashes when his timing and technique are on point. Good awareness to track the ball, can shed on time. Plays with a good center balance, rarely ends up on the ground. Hard to knock off his pass rush thanks to his contact balance and play strength. In terms of weaknesses, though, has some pitter-patter habits with his hands rather than bringing the final punch on his impact. Hands tend to plod rather than snap around. Slow burn pass rusher will find most of his production as a result of being the second or third man on scene. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Thomas Booker of the Houston Texans. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Byron's game. Does a lot of things right. You know, definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure, especially with his versatility. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Baylor, standing 6'3", weighing 358 pounds. We got Siaki Ika. So we got Siaki's strengths. Rare first step for a man his size. Covers ground well in the open field. Enormous proportions. Densely packed limbs. Mass allows him to sit down in his seat, control the run game. Can weather the storm against double teams. Surprisingly flexible lower body, which allows him to play well with the leverage battle. Side's going to have a gravity pull on how scouts view him. Easy power generator. Can walk interior lineman back. Collapse the pocket. In terms of his weaknesses, though, length's obscured a bit due to how bulky his torso is. He could benefit from playing closer to 335 pounds, so he might have to lose some weight to have an impact. Pure nose tackle, has a hard time moving around the defensive line. Pass rush stalls out if he can't get anywhere with his initial move. Not precise enough with his hand usage when fighting blocks. Skill set somewhat narrow. Energy reserves gets burnt up quickly. Tackle radius is less impactful than expected. Also been listed as one of the players that could disappoint in this draft class, because even though he was a standout freshman at LSU, he was an odd fit for a nose tackle, and he's raw as a pass rusher, mostly hit or miss as a two-gap defender. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to free agent defensive tackle Tyler Chauvin. So overall, a lot of things he likes does a lot for sure, but he's incredibly raw in a lot of areas. I think he's the equivalent of a boom or bust pick. He's either going to be a star or he's going to be out of the league in a few years. You know, definitely someone maybe to look at if you want to take a gamble. Next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Oklahoma State, standing 6'4", weighing 285 pounds. We got Tyler Lacey. So for Tyler's strengths, great build, plenty of length, capable of playing outside on rundowns, kicking inside on pass downs, generates movement on contact, had an impressive long arm move. Play strength took a late leap forward in his senior year, always working his hands, trying to find ways to break through. Push-pull move, has a lot of potential once he works counters in. Group tackler, wants a piece every play. Incredibly strong tackler, has taken reps as far as outside linebacker, so has a lot of versatility. In terms of his weaknesses, though, limited finesse, somewhat one-year rush plan with limited impact on passing downs. Very upright without natural leverage. Struggles to drop his weight, flip his hips both through contact and in space. Movement gets awkward, out of control when he has to ad-lib. Hand-eye coordination needs fine-tuning. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Jeremiah Ledbetter of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game, but he has a lot of work to clean up on. Maybe someone to be a rotational piece for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Pitt, standing 5'11", weighing 280 pounds. We got Kalijah Chauncey. So for Kalijah, he's a prototype explosion defensive tackle, so he's very explosive off the snap. In terms of strength, snapping movement, going to catch most opponents by surprise. Very easy mover with elite lateral quickness, forward step explosiveness. Plays above his weight class, has some impressive lap reps of stacking and shedding blocks. Leverage is impossible to beat for most offensive linemen. Good eyes to read and react in the run game. Creative and active hands never stop working. Nifty bender, can control himself to difficult angles. Capable edge setter when lined up outside. Rare body control, elite hand setter, rarely stunned by blocks. Consistently plays the whistle, speed's unique. In terms of his weaknesses, though, incredibly tiny build at linebacker proportions. He's doomed against double teams. Size differential is going to be a nightmare to project forward for teams. Limited length makes his tackle radius very small. Struggles for balance once blockers get him on his heels. Bull rush is going to have a much more harder time getting traction against NFL linemen. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Ed Oliver, the Buffalo Bills. So overall, does a lot of things well. He also had a very solid showing at the Combine and his pro day, and his draft stock has massively risen as a result of those two strong showings in front of everybody, to where he's possibly could be in contention for the Lions' 18th overall pick in the first round. You know, maybe the Lions go corner with the 6th overall pick. Maybe Chauncey is a good option for the 18th pick, maybe. You know, definitely someone to consider at that pick for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Bowling Green, standing 6'3", weighing 305 pounds. We got Carl Brooks. So for Carl's strength, snappy off the ball, maintains momentum working side to side in a straight line, put together incredibly well for a 300-pounder, moves more like a defensive end. One of the best pure athletes at the position in this class. Competitive, won't stack off or fall asleep at the wheel. Played as a stand-up rusher at times, didn't look out of place. Athleticism and effort could be a ticket to special teams role. Sufficiently strong tackler when he gets his target wrapped up. Also been listed as one of the small school studs in this draft class because he put on a show at the Senior Bowl. Versatile defensive lineman, can provide pressure from various angles. Was used at outside linebacker college, didn't look out of place athletically. In terms of his weaknesses, though, length's extremely limited. Teams will have his sub-32-inch arm circle as a red flag. Level of competition will lead to some projections needed. Will face some serious length and strength headwinds against NFL tackles if he's asked to play outside at all. Flexibility and change of direction are also typical. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Marquise Spencer and the New York Jets. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Does a lot of things right. Someone definitely to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Alabama, standing 6'1", weighing 300 pounds, we got DJ Dale. So for DJ's strengths, natural leverage advantage, holds up low against the run, good run base anchors down against power, instinctive run defender, finds the ball on time, won't get lost. Pedigree, level of competition will help convince scouts he can make it work. Efficient with hands, won't throw them around recklessly. What you see is what you get. Type player that can be trusted to do his job. In terms of weaknesses, though, unimpressed hand speed, short and stout build with average length, won't stand out to scouts on the hoof, easily evaded by good athletes in space, not agile, explosive enough to get penetration, find his way in the backfield, maxed out body, athletic profile, roll race, some concerns, too quick to turn his back to blocks rather than use his hands to create separation. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to DeAndre Swift of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Overall, there are a lot of things to like out of DJ's game, though. Hey, but like it's also been said, what you see is what you get with him. Maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. So our next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Wake Forest, standing 6'2", weighing 291 pounds, we got Kobe Turner. So for Kobe's strengths, he can drop his weight, bend around a corner like a much lighter man. Very slippery rusher, agility to gets out of blocks, fine penetration. Engaged player, finishes every rep strong. Low in the layout for tackle attempts, do everything he can to get a piece of the ball carrier. In terms of his weaknesses, though, short arms, somewhat undersized, lacks upper body strength, gets locked up by strong hands. Short strider, struggles to pick up speed in space. Pigeon-toed makes some of his adjustments awkward. Will slide off his tackles more regularly as runners get bigger and stronger. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Curtis Brooks of the Tennessee Titans. Overall, there are a lot of things to like out of Kobe's game for sure, though. A lot of things, though, that need to be better. But overall, someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas, standing 6'3", weighing 284 pounds, we got Moro Ojabo. So Romaro's strengths, gets out of his stance with good quickness, length's adequate to win with a long arm move. Initial contact, has some shock, can get pushed into the pocket with his initial move. Agile enough to run stunts and get to the outside of hips, some blockers. In terms of weakness, though, his lack of mass can get him jostled out of position in the run game. Has a habit of letting his chest rise, loses leverage when he tries to generate power. Not proficient with his hands yet, not quite strong enough to be a natural interior player, not quite and not quick enough to play outside. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Jordan Jackson of the Denver Broncos. Overall, though, a lot of things to like out of his game. Very quick out of his stance. Maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of West Virginia, standing 6'4", weighing 280 pounds. We got Dante Stills, who is the son of Gary Stills. In terms of his strengths, quick out of his stance, allows him to consistently beat opponents to the punch. Has experience as a defensive end, could play outside linebacker in some situations. Urgent with trying to shed blocks, gets his hands on the runner. In terms of his weaknesses, though, abnormally light defensive tackle, has some tweener qualities to his frame, lacks the power to displace blocks, create much more movement in the pocket. Small tackle radius impedes him when he tries to finish through blockers. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to his brother Darius Stills with the Birmingham Stallions of the USFL. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game, a few things so he's got to get better at, but overall, this is someone I think we should keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to take a look at here, hailing out of Texas, standing 6'2", weighing 340 pounds, we got Keandre Colbin. So for Keandre's strengths, gets around very well for a man his size, great anchor, can take on double teams without getting moved off his spot. Effective lane clogger, can use his mass as a two-gapper. In terms of his weaknesses, though, only viable as a nose tackle, lacks the athletic gifts needed to move around the line, unable to catch his balance once he starts to get tripped up. Phone booth player, struggles to make an impact as a pass rusher in space, inadequate length to control blocks, doesn't know what to do with his hands when his initial rush falls shy. Stamina could be an issue if he doesn't play at a lighter weight, ends up on the ground at an oddly high rate. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Daylon Mack of the Memphis Showboats of the USFL. Overall, a few things he does right for sure, but a lot of limitations on his game. Maybe someone has a rotational depth piece on certain downs, like running downs for sure. And the final defensive tackle, the final defensive lineman, the final player we're going to go over in this video, hailing out of Coastal Carolina, standing 6'3", weighing 341 pounds, we got Jared Clark. So in terms of Jared's strengths, enormous frame, excellent length and bulk stack on. Very clean cut for a 340-pounder. has some natural power generators and pass rusher, aware enough to get his hands up and impact passing lanes. Rare size profile, gonna buy him time to figure it out as a pro. Flashes subtle closing speed when he breaks through the line. Turns his weaknesses, though. He's still learning how to keep his balance against double teams and maintain a wide base. On the ground, constantly in matchups that he should be winning. Slow roll pass rusher will be scarce on the stat sheet. Gets over skis both when he takes on blocks and in pursuit. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to now retired defensive tackle Vincent Valentine. Overall, there are a lot of things to make out of his game, especially his frame. Maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here for this Detroit Lions 2023 NFL Draft Preview. So yeah, there's some very interesting prospects to keep an eye on here for rounds 4 through 7 of the 2023 NFL Draft. If we don't go defensive lineman with defensive tackle with the first 6 pick, if we don't get Jalen Carter, if Carter goes like Seattle or something at 5, since that's started to become a possibility that despite Carter's baggage issues, he still could potentially still go top 5, top 10. It really depends on what happens with Arizona at 3, but there are still some very interesting prospects to keep an eye on for the rest of the draft. Especially with Kalijah Chauncey's rising draft stock, he could be an option at number 18. Definitely some interesting names to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, anyway, that wraps up for this draft preview. That wraps it up for all the defensive line draft previews. So in the next video, we're going to wrap up the linebacker class and take a look at the top day 3 linebacker prospects in rounds 4 through 7 of this year's draft class. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here. That's all I got to say. Hope everyone's a great day, and I'll see you all whatever I make next. I'm out.